Oh, that could be a perfect intro at 8:01 to maybe our next series. We maybe need to do a next series
I
on
still
like
have that left on
voting
my
and
phone.
working
I forget.
together. So thanks, Darcy. We're going to go ahead and start. And I'm
All right.
welcoming everybody to the intersection this morning from my front porch. Today, our conversation briefing is going to be on um, tangled titles, home titles, and the importance of home in our life, but also the future and what that can bring as we age, as our offspring also age. So, anyway, I'm trying this morning. We're going to really hold comments, hold our announcements to 8:05. I'm not very good at that, but that's what we're going to do today, just so we can give Crystal as much time. There was so much interest in this conversation at our last Action Lab. So, um, any quick announcements? I'm going to start with a quick one, and Doug's going to put the registration in. You all have to be at Pathways to Hope this year. You just have to be. It's August 28th and 29th, the last Friday and Saturday of August. If it's not on your calendar, put it on the calendar. Doug's going to put the registration link in a couple times during At the Intersection a Day. So if you don't get it the first time, you'll get it the next time. So the registrations are over 800, but the Tobin Center can hold so many more people than that. We're very excited about our speakers, our breakout sessions, the entire mental health conference is on taking action. How do we take action in our own lives? How do we take action as a community? How do we take action to a citywide, statewide, national level? How do we take action and move what needs to be moved forward to bring healing into all of our lives, into our communities in holistic ways, mind, body, spirit? And we all know we can get all that together, but we need community to strengthen that and make that happen. Our keynote on Friday is the governor of New Mexico, our neighbor. It's a small state next to a very big state, but they have done some work there and taking action that has totally changed who they are, from childcare to mental health. So the New Mexico governor, Governor Grisham, is going to be with us and keynoting on that Friday at noon. We have an excellent storyteller to start off the day. Cello, from her own life experience growing up and her sister's story, family story, to what led her to study and become a doctor, and her research and how that connects with and informs our community action and our individual action. So please come. It's at no cost. There's no reason not to come to such a beautiful space. So, Doug, thanks for putting that into chat. It's 8:05. And as I said, I'm trying to give Crystal as much time as possible for this important briefing. Crystal is with the Mexican American Union Council. She's the CEO over programs and development. She's taking time today from her day off and her children time as they prepare to go to school on Monday. So, Crystal, I want to thank you for for being so committed to your children
Thank
that
you.
you are taking 2 days off to commit to the next beginning, the next phase of their lives, which we're also going to be doing at Pathways with the youth portion, but that you're taking this time this morning to share with us what you know about titles, housing titles, and what that means as we age and move on in our journeys. So, Crystal, it's all yours. Thank you for doing this.
No, thank you so much for having us. Give me a second just to share my screen really quickly here with you all. All right. Can you guys see my screen here? Yes. Okay.
Yes. We
Perfect.
can.
Well, good morning, everyone. My name is Requejo, as Anne mentioned. I'm with the Mexican American Unity Council. I'm the Chief Operating Officer of Program Development, and I'm honored to have Ashley Rodriguez with me. She's one of our housing coordinators, and she's on the ground, does the work daily. So I thought it'd be perfect for her to come in and share her experiences as well. And so, just to give you a little bit of background, so we started our Homestead Preservation Center 8 years ago, going on 9. And it started because we wanted to really work in community, continue working in community. MAUC's been around for almost 60 years this year. So we've built that trust with community. And we've always been in the housing sector, but we really wanted to come in and fill a gap for the community. So we had our first community fair back in 2018 with a lot of partners, local partners in San Antonio. And we had over 500 families show up. And I think this is a testament to the need. And it wrapped around our building. If you're familiar with the MAUC building in the west side, it's a pretty large building. And it wrapped around, they filled our community room. And every single person that walked in had a title issue. And that's when we realized that this was something that needed to be tackled, and we needed to find a way to help preserve the assets for this community. And so this is something that we definitely have felt from the get-go has been a huge need, and it has not stopped. We currently always have a 200 people waiting list to get into our program. So we've continued to evolve and build the program, and we'll go on to our model in a second. But I just wanted to share about where this started and how we began this process. It's definitely, we see the need here, but we also see the need across the state as well. So I'm going to go ahead and hand it off to Ms. Ashley Rodriguez to talk about kind of our model, the trusted community partner model.
Hi, good morning, everybody. My name is Ashley. I just kind of wanted to go over our model here. So, us as a nonprofit, I think it is very important that we can provide these services to our community, especially because not a lot of people are aware of the changes and the modifications that need to be done to any title changes or any title concerns when somebody passes away or they're on the verge of, their lifetime almost ending and they don't have a plan set in place. With that being said, we do have assistance from our attorneys as well. Our attorneys do an amazing work here. They are able to provide these services for our community really at no cost. So our families here, they are so happy to be aware of that. Our attorneys will also do most of the reviewing on our documents. We as the coordinators, we're the ones who draft the documents, and then we also do pass them on to our attorneys so they can review them. And as the attorney, they will also meet with the client. They will go ahead and explain what they're going to be signing. And then they will also provide they will also be able to explain to the client what additional steps they need to take after we have completed everything for them. And then with the vetting process in that, we do work with a title search company called Hollerbach and Associates. They are the ones who kind of do the vetting process and researching these properties first beforehand, before those reports get passed on to us. Once we do receive those reports, we typically hand them off to the attorneys so they can also confirm that everything on the property is correct and it's exactly what the client is also sharing with us. And then, of course, if there are any issues that pop up, typically what the attorneys will do is they will go over those issues with them, and we will try to address any changes that we can make to them and any way we can assist them with that. And if there's any documents that we are not able to do for them, then that's when we do have a referral process where we typically do refer them out to one of our partnerships, which is St. Mary's. For the triggers, I think it is very important to listen and to know what the community is needing out here, especially in the West Side. The West Side has a lot of like Hispanic, it has a lot of Hispanic populations here, and a lot of people are not educated on what needs to happen when somebody passes away, or when, like I did mention, when somebody is on the verge of passing away and they have no plan set in place. So I think this is a really, really, really awesome way to avoid all these issues from, repeating themselves in future generational cycles.
So I'm going to go ahead and speak a little bit on our model. So we partnered with UTSA. Roger Enriquez is our partner from the inception. He works at the university. and created this model called FOAM, Fractionalized Ownership Awareness, Avoidance, and Mitigation. And so this is the model that we have used over the last 8 years to really bring education on heirs property, which has a lot of names. We say heirs property, tangled title, fractionalized property. I mean, it has a lot of different names, but it's the same issue. And so the first step for us is to make sure we're bringing awareness to the community. So we attend a lot of housing fairs. We've put together some resource guides in partnership with UTSA to make sure that we're bringing awareness to the issue. There's a lot of people out there who live in homes but don't realize that it's not their home legally. So there's a saying that's de casa de su corazón. Our lead coordinator kind of coined that term, and it's like in their home, in their heart, that they really believe that that is their home. But unfortunately, they don't really have the right ownership, so they can't really have benefits of the home because they're not the homeowner. And so the next step we go into is avoidance. And it's making sure that we're providing education on TODS, which is our transfer on death deed. Back in 2018, we had access in the state to be able to provide these documents, and they're the most effective and low cost way to transfer your property and create generational wealth. Ashley talked about the title search, and she talked about the importance of making sure that we're vetting the clients, knowing where they're at, because sometimes they don't even know where they're at in the process. So it's very critical to have that title search as a seal of approval as well. And then the last but not least, sometimes the harder part of it is the mitigation, which is the affidavit of heirship, which that's where the person has already passed away and they do not have clear title to the home. And so now they have to go back and try to get all of the children or the families come together. And sometimes it could be so many different family members that it can be so fractionalized and it could be a little bit difficult. So this is the part that could take time and does take the vetting. And then we also try to avoid the fractionalization. So once they decide on the family saying, hey, we're going to come together, we're going to go ahead and have only one person be the owner of this home to reduce the fractionalization, then we're able to create a gift deed. And so they gift that home to one sibling versus having 10 siblings on the home. So we can go on and on, but this is the way our model flows of bringing awareness to community, not leaving the headache for the next generation and doing the avoidance of the transfer on death deed. And the reason we really push for the transfer on death deed is because you don't have to probate. And a lot of our community doesn't realize that they have to probate and you only have 4 years. So that time lapses and passes. And unfortunately, they're still back to square one of having a home without clear title. And so it doesn't matter if a will was in place, if it's not probated, you can't do anything during that period after it's passed. And also it can be costly for community. So the transfer on death deed is the most effective and low cost way to preserve your home. I'm going to hand it back to Ms. Ashley.
I just wanted to touch upon some points on what makes a transfer on death deed unique. So like Krista did mention, no probate is necessary. So unlike a will, the will you kind of have to go through a process of getting the will probated in the Bexar County Courthouse. And that process can be very costly just depending on the situation and depending on like circumstances that can differ prices between another family. So we believe the transfer on death deed, it's going to be the most affordable route. It's one of the cheapest ways and one of the most easiest ways to fully preserve that property that the owner has. And then, of course, the beneficiaries. So when somebody creates a transfer on death deed, it doesn't automatically mean that the house transfers over to the beneficiary right away. The house transfers right after somebody passes away. So we there's a saying that we like to say, and it basically what the attorney that we have here says is literally the moment that you take your last breath on this earth, your property will transfer automatically. So there's no like, but what if nothing, like the property will literally transfer right after. And then of course there is a process that the beneficiaries would can do after the person who left a transfer on death deed passes away, although it is not really required, but sometimes there are going to be agencies that might ask for it if there are going to be like any major changes done to any title issues or anything like that. So like if somebody's trying to take out a loan from a bank account, anything like that. What they typically require for is an affidavit of death. And with this affidavit of death, what it typically does, it basically just proves that that person who did leave a transfer on death deed before they passed away did get that recorded with the Bexar County Courthouse. And what the beneficiary is basically going to do as well is they're simply just going to state that, yes, I am the person that I inherited the property and this person did indeed pass away already. And we get that recorded with the courthouse as well. And it simply just proves to not just us, but to also the entire public what happened with that person and their property. And then, of course, the transfer on death deed does have to be filed in the county where the property is located. This is why we also recommend that, clients do go through an agency or perhaps even MAUC to get these documents done because most of the time people will try to do them themselves and they never get those documents recorded. And if that transfer on death deed is not recorded and you pass away, it's not going to be effective because it's as if you never did anything with that. So it is very important that these transfer on death deeds do get recorded in the proper county where your home is located, so it can be effective and there won't be any issues moving on from that. And then, of course, like I did mention, we do advise that clients should always consult with an attorney over the transfer on death deeds. Also, because there are sections on the transfer on death deed that do have to be addressed by an attorney themselves. They, the way these documents are set up, it can kind of get complicated for a client who doesn't really understand the wording on them. Most of how legal documents usually come in big words. A lot of people really don't understand those. So I think it's in their best interest to actually meet with a licensed attorney who can go over those documents with them and explain to them exactly what they're going to be doing. So the client can also be aware about that. And they can also have a calm conscience, like, oh no, like they didn't tell me anything and whatsoever. So I'm just going to talk a little bit about the benefits of the transfer on death deed and how our process works overall. So most of the referrals that we get typically come from the courthouse because people think that, you can just go to the courthouse and get your name changed on there. And most of the time we also hear that people will go to the tax office and they'll, show a death certificate and they think that's good enough for somebody that has already passed away. And that's not typically how it works. Typically, in order to clear a title, you kind of do have to go through the legal process, which we do here at MOC. So you do have the clearing title. They can go ahead, once we do get the clear title for them, they can go ahead and apply for programs, rehab programs, home repair loans. They can qualify for their tax exemptions. Most of the time, it for example, maybe we have the children who said mom and dad passed away, but when we look into the property, their homesteads are still based on the parents. And so what happens is those taxes keep accumulating. And, once we do clear the title on it, most of the time they do have to pay those taxes back. And we're talking about thousands of dollars. So we also do want to make sure that people are avoiding those fees and avoiding having to pay more than what they should be, which is why we highly advocate on the importance of getting the title on the property cleared. Um, and then of course, once they do have clear title, they are also able to do what they please with the property. So that's if they want to sell it, they want to rent it out, they want to continue living in it, they want to do any major home repairs, anything like that. I am going to go over the fees that we do cover here at MOC as well. So we do cover the document fees, we cover the attorney fees, we cover the filing fees. We also do order a title report that every property comes in through our program. So those title report fees do get covered by us as well. And then also the notary fees. Typically between all of this combined, if you were to go somewhere else and get these services done, you would typically be paying a little over between 1,500 to 2,500. I've heard it can range for more. I've heard it can go up to $6,000, just depending on what documents you need. So really, I feel like we are doing a really good work for our community by being able to provide these services because most of the time we've heard the stories where they come in, they're like, it's because I hired an attorney, we paid them thousands, and they didn't really do anything for me. So that's where also the importance of having to educate the client on what needs to be done, what should be done, what should have been done, how this could have been avoided. It's very important to go over that with them.
And I also just want to add, unfortunately, there's a lot of predatory activity that is also happening within the community, especially low to moderate income communities when it comes to um, not having clear titles. So they either undersell their home because they sell to someone and it's not at the true value, or they end up having just people approach and be like, hey, I can clear title for you. And then they don't resolve the issue. And we've seen clients spend up to 10, 20,000 and the issues are not resolved where it could have been a simple transfer over. So we have seen a lot of these situations arise for community. They get letters in the mail constantly when people can see it's public record that it's not a transferred home. And so that's definitely an issue that we're seeing. It's also caused a lot of displacement because if a person is not able to transfer their home and it ends up either have the taxes keep, adding up, then they can lose a home for that reason, like Ashley mentioned. And on top of that, there's also, the home is falling apart and it's not livable, then it can also be lost because of that reason. So for generations, that home has been preserved and been transferred, not transferred properly, but been transferred over through family members, and it's lost. And so you're losing that generational wealth. And so the goal for MAUC is to make sure that we're avoiding displacement, we're creating generational wealth, and we're able to preserve that home for the family. And that they live in a quality home, so they're able to apply for all of the programs, like the city home repair program, that they're able to get into, the rehab programs. They can get loans, and most importantly, make sure that they're saving, as well as Ashley mentioned. So I will leave some time for some questions. I know we kind of threw a lot at you guys, but we're here to take some time to answer some questions for you all. I'm going to stop sharing for 1 second so that we can answer some of those questions.
First of all, that was amazing. You're right. It was a lot
Thank
of
you.
information,
Mhm.
but a lot of important information for all of us personally, but for all of us too that are working in community, trying to build community. It sounds to me, the smart thing, of course, is to have that all clean and clear before your final days, right? But that title on death deed is very helpful. But there are also people out there that will help to untangle the mess. It's a perfect example of taking action in community. And so, one, thank you, Amak, for doing that kind of work and being here this morning. But it's also up to all of us to do our own work on our own titles, but also to be informed about all of this for, within our congregations, faith congregations, our community groups, nonprofits, that we're able to know and be able to connect people. I think I'm going to just open this up. Do we have any questions and thoughts out there that while we still have some good time with Crystal and Ashley, that we can make sure and get into this?
And I also just want to add, if you all want a presentation for your organization or for your congregation or for your community, please reach out. My email, I will drop it in the chat, and you can contact us. We also do have Cafecito and Platica that happens once a month for community, and we bring different topics to the community. If you all have a topic that you would like to share with the community, contact us. Contact Ashley. She sets up these sessions as well, so that we're able to have you come and present to our community. We have about a little over 100 people that show up every month. And so we definitely have that space for you all there as well to work in partnership. But also, if you need us to come out and present, let me know.
And your model at the beginning was, so clear, and I really appreciate that whole going out into this housing fairs and the importance of education. And as we know, it's not linear, right? You're still doing it and still offering it. You got to keep doing the education. It might be different if we were like a community, a town of 300 people, but we're not, right?
No.
And we
Yes,
probably still
yes.
have to do it, but but we're not. We're seventh largest.
Yeah.
Um, are you
And we
able
service all of
to?
Bear County as well. So if
Right.
that way, yeah, we service all of Bear County. So we know that we haven't even hit the tip of the iceberg yet. People ask me, "Are you done yet?" And I'm like, "We're just starting."
Right, right. Are you able to present for elderly and public housing? There's a question.
Yes, we're able to present and just reach out. I drop my email in the chat. Just send me an email and we can coordinate something with our housing team to go out and present.
Yeah, my guess is you'll present anywhere that
Hmm.
people are want to listen. I would think
Exactly.
something like this would also be really good to present at like the chambers,
Hmm.
um, so that there's that kind of education happening as well, you know.
Yes.
Um, Other questions, comments for Ashley and Crystal this morning. Did such a great job covering it.
Thank you. Thank you.
Hmm. I also, when I mentioned that the last action lab from Sacred was on older adults and their caregivers, it was almost as if when it was mentioned about the title, Tangled Titles, one, it's catchy phrase, right? That kind of sits
Yeah.
on your ear, but um, it was almost like a gasp. There was like a moment where people stopped and probably an awareness among many people there that, oh, yeah. And then there's that mess,
Hmm.
you know?
Yeah. And I tell people, death unfortunately doesn't discriminate. So it doesn't matter your age. If you're a homeowner, you should be prepared and have a transfer on death deed or have something in place. Because I tell people we don't know what could happen to us, and you need to secure your asset for the next generation.
Mhm. And it does connect so much to healing
Hmm.
and the importance, not just of community, but the community within family itself. You
Hmm.
know, we all can know the messy tangledness of family.
Yes.
And
Hmm.
many of us, I'm sure, have gone through those moments after death where, oh, wouldn't it have been great if we had been
Hmm.
talking together more? Um,
Exactly.
yeah, it's not linear, but it's important work that needs to be happening in all of our
Yeah.
lives every day.
And I commend
Um,
our coordinators because like you mentioned, it is a huge conversation when you're talking about death and you're talking about families. And so you have to be able to come in with knowing that you're dealing with not just the asset, but with the family as well.
mhm. So you all are a beautiful example of taking action in our
Thank you.
community, in our city, in our county, and that has ripple impacts in terms of in our state and our country and on the planet, you know. And that's how peace and compassion work, you know, that we've got to be doing our work every day. So thank you for being such a beautiful example of taking action. Um, I think we're good here at
Thank
8:29,
you.
almost 8:30. We tried to get all the information in before 8:30. The recordings online, Crystal and Ashley, you can use this recording as well in terms of people wanting a pretty quick synopsis from people who are doing the work exactly. So I encourage everyone to use this link when you're telling others in your organization or at your congregation. But do you know about Tangled titles? Do you know about that? Well, here's a link. Go and watch this. This is summarize it all, and let's get to work. Um, and having housing fairs for our own staff and our own organization. It's not just about the people we serve, but the people who are also serving. All of these concerns are part of their lives as well. So let's use the links. Our upcoming series, starting next week, is going to be, although always at the intersection, it's about taking action, whether we've used those words or not. Every week at the intersection, it's about how we're taking action in the world or need to be taking action and being better educated as a community working together. So we're going to be focusing on taking action in the next couple weeks leading up to Pathways to Hope.